Yes, everyone, you know what time it is. It's your boys Jack and Dave here to bring you that watch along nice and early. It's the second round of the preseason. Leicester this time, not West Ham. No bubble blowers. We're coming up against some Foxes, Dave-O. How are you feeling this time?
I absolutely cannot wait, Jack. I'm absolutely starving. And look, I'm looking forward to getting what should be our first victory of pre-season. Very interesting starting lineup there. A couple of little changes in there. Look, Ben Davies, huge game for him, Jack.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
playing on the left, I can understand why Ange Postecoglou made that call. Personally, I'd rather have seen Romero moved over there and Tanganga still
Sure.
slotting in there to see if that would work. But big call to put Ben Davies in there. And look, being honest, we think he's going to be kept around. He's tied up till he's 33 on 85 grand a week. So,
Mm.
I mean, huge game for him. Hopefully, he can put in the
Yeah.
shift because there's an opportunity there for him, whether I like it or not. And then our main man, Zinedine Salzburg, the one that everyone says cannot play Ange
Well,
Postecoglou's way. He's in there, Jacko.
Well, this is what I'm going to read aloud the lineup for everybody. But kind of my first question to you, Dave, is like, what do we really take from this lineup? Are these people that have impressed Postacoglu, or these people that he's just kind of rotating in? Maybe just to see something different. He's gone with Vicario again as the number
Mm.
one, which is good to see. Maybe hopefully he gets more than 45 minutes this time. Pedro Porro is locking it down still at right back. You have Cudi Romero at right-sided center back. Ben Davies at left-sided center back instead of Tanganga this time around.
Mm.
Udoji at left back. Hoiberg is going to be playing defensive midfield, maybe alongside Basuma, or maybe Basuma could be playing a bit higher up as a number 8. You have Madison probably playing again sort of as a number 10 type role, with Sonny
Mm.
this time instead of Solomon on the left and Kulusevski on the right with Kane up top. Dave, do you feel like this is, like I said, a lineup that has maybe just impressed Postacoglu over the week? Or is he just kind of just doing different things, just kind of giving people different minutes here? What do you think?
No, look, I said last week, Jack, that I thought that first half's lineup is what Ange Postecoglou is sort of generically looking at. And I think, the fact that it's very, very similar with a couple of changes, which I understand, right? You look at, especially, well, look, you look at two of the changes, for instance, right? Tanganga out and Skip out. Now, they were poor in the first half against West Ham, in my opinion, especially, Skip, as a midfielder on the ball in preseason. You're never going to get more time than a preseason game to show how good you are on the ball, which is what Ollie Skip has been criticised for at Tottenham, especially towards the back end of last season. And he
Hmm.
didn't show that, and it sort of showed in our first half performance. So for
Yeah.
me, I can understand why he's brought in someone like Hoiberg, and I think he's just trying to fine tune what he feels like is his best 11. Also, Doji coming in today, I mean, he was excellent when he played the last day
Yeah.
in the second half against West Ham, scoring as
No,
well.
that's fair.
So it's a huge opportunity for him because it looks like him and Regulon are going to be the ones fighting it out for that left back spot because you know them fullbacks are going to need pace. That's why someone like Ben
Hmm.
Davies can't play there. That's why he's playing on the left today. But also, in fairness to Ben Davies, Jack, last week against West Ham, every time he got the ball, it was one touch to move forward. In fairness to the guy, so I can understand a couple of little tweaks on that here. But what we're seeing in general, especially teams where Kane and Son and Kulu are up all across the top line, this will be what I think he's thinking more or less towards his starting 11. Just a few positions he's trying to iron out.
What I'm sort of thinking the explanation for Skip being left out are kind of two different things. He did sort of come out and say, if I'm not mistaken, Postacoglu, that Basuma he doesn't solely see as a number 6. He says he can
Mhm.
see him play up a bit higher up. He said if need be. He says he's such a versatile midfielder. And then also at some stage in a recent sort of press conference, he sort of mentioned that there's a difference between sort of following my tactics and sort of following my instructions versus
Mm.
actually, executing them and actually, playing, naturally within them and, being able to sort of still make a positive impact. And I sort of thought like
Mm.
that might have been sort of a pointed sort of dig or critique at sort of certain players, maybe in the second half, maybe even in the
Mm.
first half as well of that game against West Ham. I was kind of thinking of Tanganga, where it was sort of like, yeah, maybe he was sort of trying to do, certain things that he's being asked to do. And yes, like, it's good to see that sort of bravery with him, but was he really executing it in the way that still Postacoglu needed him to? Probably
Mm.
not. And then I think probably similar thing with Skippy. Maybe Skippy was sort of, making those runs into the box and maybe
Mm.
trying to be more of a presence in the final third, but he wasn't doing it perhaps in the way that Postecoglou
But
needed him to do. You can only speculate, and then maybe other players did sort of, execute it in the way that he actually wanted it to be done.
like you even look at Basuma at number six. I mean, he got further forward than what Skip did in the whole game, right? He nearly scored. He probably should have scored. And with Basuma, Jack, I sort of made the argument last week that he sort of only got going when we were 2-0 down to sort of affect the game. And for me, I actually like the idea that maybe Højbjerg might come in and play that sort of number six role with Basuma, maybe getting forward a bit more.
More
Because for
freedom.
me,
Yeah.
I can understand why he would want Basuma in that number six because he can sort of do it all, right?
Mm.
But for me, Basuma's best traits is going forward, being able to take people out the game with a bit of skill, a drop of the shoulder. So for me, I'm excited to see this midfield today of Højbjerg, Madison, and Basuma because I did feel like Madison was let down by, you know, especially Tanganga not getting the ball into him nice and early at times. Tanganga didn't trust that left foot, and you can see Madison getting frustrated at times because he's looking at Tanganga and he's pointing, "Give me the ball." So look, I'm expecting a huge performance from Madison today, Jack, because and I'm not getting on Madison's back, by the way, whatsoever. I mean, I thought I would have seen a bit more, but I also understand why we didn't. There was only Skip, Tanganga, they weren't the best. So, you do need everybody sort of at it. So I'm very excited to see what we're like this half. But the big thing to me today, Jack, is please just show a bit of solidity across that back line. I cannot take the amount of goals and the way we concede them. I can take being beaten or conceding goals through a bit of brilliance, a bit of class, long range effort, something like that. But that back line at some point is going to have to start showing some unity for most fans in general to sort of feel like teams are changing because unless that back line does change, the only thing that has changed is the style of play. And we
Mm.
need that back line to come to the party today.
Do you think Ben Davies, quick question? I mean, I don't think he can really cut it in the back four. I've said it probably too
Mm.
many times, but do you feel like he could perhaps do a better job than Tanganga did in what was being asked of him, to be a bit more progressive with the ball, but also, be able to not, I don't know, like could Ben Davies just serve as a better sort of option maybe in that left sided center back position than Tanganga was?
Yeah, look, I think Ben Davies is sort of being brought in for how quick he moved the ball when he came off the bench against,
Right.
or when he came on in the second half against West Ham. It was one touch out of his feet. Because look, I don't think Tanganga put too much foot wrong defensively, but on the ball, he's slowing it down. He didn't trust his left foot, and a lot of the time he ended up having to come back on his right foot. Whereas when that ball gets to one of them centre backs from Vicario, whatever side it's on, Postecoglou wants that moved. It's
Yeah.
all about moving that ball. And, what we were seeing last year of 3, 4, 5 touches on the ball just to pass at 5 yards. Postecoglou does not want that. So
Yeah.
I can sort of understand the Ben Davies call in that regard because, like I said, Tanganga didn't trust that left foot and that kept on coming back in on the right.
Let's get to the chat here. Everybody, if you haven't already, please hit that like button. We already have over 160 in the house. So please, everybody, do hit that like button to get your comments in. And as well, do let us know as well, maybe what your thoughts are on the state of the pitch, because I am getting
Maybe
some
called off.
tweets from Lily White Rose saying that it's a heavy rainfall and the referee's inspecting the pitch right now, Davo.
Yeah, Jack, it's been torrential rainfall there for a number of days now. To be fair, and
Mm.
yeah, they reckon the game could end up being called off, which is
Jesus.
not ideal, right?
All the build up for nothing potentially, but everybody will stay nice and warm and nice and dry here in the chat, and everybody do engage with each other
Just
and
a
do
quick,
let us know.
just a quick question, Jack. You surprised that Ndombele maybe didn't get the nod today? Because
Yeah.
a lot of people like me, it's sort of like I want to see him as soon as possible because there's a lot of unknown around him. Like all we hear is like everyone wants him to be given a chance, and everyone's hoping that he comes good. He picked up a knock. We understand why he didn't play the last one, but from my understanding, he was fit and ready and available for today. So you surprised that maybe he didn't get a chance, so that we can all maybe see it and put the whole mystery around Ndombele to bed
I knew I was missing something, and it was some of the absences that were a bit interesting. Jed Spence is actually also missing, I think, yet again.
again.
Yeah, I think he's also missing from the lineup, from what I've been able to tell. Let me just pull it up again, but I believe, like you said, Ndombele is another player that is one missing that you can think of. The substitutes are Whiteman, Emerson, Region, Dyer, Tanganga, Skip, Lo
Mm.
Celso, Sar, Perisic. Solomon or Charlison. Rodon's missing from it again, so clearly, he's maybe not
Yeah.
making much of an impression, or maybe he
Mm.
just doesn't exactly, have much of his heart in it here. That's probably understandable. Um, did I
Jack,
mention?
just quickly,
Yes.
update from Alistair Gold says young Spurs keeper Keeley just kicked the ball from the goal along the ground. It reached the edge of the 6 yard box and stopped. This is going to be a difficult game to convince the managers and players that it should go ahead.
Postacoglu's out on his own now, he says, looking at the pitch.
Ali Gold reckons it's going to take a lot of convincing. There's puddles everywhere. I can see it here now. There's puddles everywhere.
How do you think Harry Kane does in the puddles, Dave?
You know, Harry Kane, Jack, he just put on the wetsuit, last year's away kit, the one you're wearing, and he'll get ready to go, Jacko.
Yeah, maybe I didn't even read the weather report, but maybe I just did the right thing, by accident here. DJ Samuel's in the house saying, "Come on, you Spurs, big up DJ Samuel, fellow members. Well, big yourself up, my man, absolute legend." DJ Samuel saying, Hoiberg in the starting lineup. God help us all. Potentially, you might be saved, Stefan Blois, because the weather could be, delaying this Hoiberg start. Isaac Fisher is in the house saying, "Hey, David."
Big up, Isaac. Good to see you. Hopefully you're keeping well, my man.
Welsh gals in here, absolute
Big
legend.
up,
Big up,
Wesley.
lads. Got a cup of tea. Let's see Spurs mix it up again and take it to the Foxes. Harris Army, come on, you Spurs. Big Ange, Thailand. Come on, Welsh gal. Absolutely love it.
Big up,
Big
Wesley.
cup of tea as well, maybe, hopefully, because you might have to be waiting a while. So maybe have a few extra cups of teas, just waiting, because you could be ending up, having to just look at, just puddled pitches for the moment. Paul Connor's in the house. Big up, Paul Connor. He's saying, "Who's watching it for free on the Leicester website?" LOL. Do you think that was the publicity that Leicester even put out about it was absolutely intentional? I think as
Yeah.
well. Very, very nice housery by them, Dave. Yeah, to be fair.
No, look. First of all, let's make no mistake about it, right? They have to do it. They can't they can't really charge the Leicester fans for watching it after being relegated, right? You know, they sort of got to give them something back to sort of get the regather the interest. However, look, Jacko, I mean, look, fair play to them, and I encourage every Spurs fan to flock over there. I don't believe in charging to watch preseason friendlies. When I was a kid growing up, you know, I used to get them everywhere on all these dodgy sites watching them, so I never once paid. Unfortunately, they're getting smarter in that regard, so we have had to play for Spurs playing stuff like that.
Mm.
But no, look, fair play to Leicester and anyone watching. If you do want to watch it for free, check out that Leicester City website and go and watch it if it goes ahead. By the way, if it goes ahead, because right now I'm ready to get the head and shoulders out and go out for a shower in that weather.
I think that this is when you want to throw in the big Dave Harris, I think, for this type of weather, because I think this sort of
Yeah.
suits his climate for sure. Leighton Evelyn says Kane to score a header, Son to score outside the box, 75-1. Leighton Evelyn, must be early for you. You're happy clapping. Must have had a great Sunday morning, my friend. Good to see you happy clapping before even I have. He's taking the first happy clap of the day, Dave. The early bird gets the happy clap. Matthew as well
No,
is in the house. Good to see you, Matthew. Anything to say to Leighton, Dave?
No, legend. Good to see you in the build, my man. Hopefully, this game does go ahead. They're saying that they're now trying to sort of squeegee off the edge of all around the edge of the pitch to try and get it going, but we'll wait and see. But big up, Leighton. Hopefully, we all haven't got up nice and early, especially you, Jack, on, everyone else in here from True and all around the world. Hopefully, you haven't got up that early for no reason at all.
I love that. They're getting the squeegees out. They're getting the squeegees out. Echo is in here. Zulu X is in here. And we also have a lazy eight. Nick is in the house as well. I'm just going to bring him in here in
Well,
just a
Nico.
moment here, everybody. Good to see him here this morning as well. Maybe he's gotten up for nothing too. Maybe he's going to have to get the squeegee out. Drew Law is in the house as well. Good to see you. Good to see you, Drew. Nathan Rollins is in here. Big up, Nathan. He's also grabbed a membership, I believe, as well. Big up, Nathan. He says, "Big
Go
up,
on,
boys.
Nathan.
Imagine Winks getting a winner today." Uh, Still can't escape him, Dave. He's still right in front of you. I mean, what's it like to see him wearing the other shirt?
Oh, look, I'm absolutely buzzing, Jack. I mean, today is a great chance for Madison to sort of show how much Tottenham have upgraded in that area, right? I mean, me and you put out something a bit on Weeks there a couple of years ago.
Hmm.
I mean, the amount of backlash we got off it just for basically, and it was a nice thing as well, just sort of saying that, He's just not up to standard, what he needs to do to get up to standard and stuff like that. So thank God all that nonsense has gone, arguing over just crap shit players that weren't good enough to be here. So look, he's found his level, which is the championship, which I've always argued where he should be. And look, it's a chance for us today to show how much we've upgraded in that midfield since.
Absolutely. Nick, I have you right in front of everybody. What's been your early, kind of sleepy thoughts on Spurs this morning, my friend?
You
Good
go,
morning.
Spurs.
Good morning, boys. Let me just make sure you can hear me first off.
Sounding perfect.
Yeah,
Sounding
because
perfect.
this early in the morning, anything can go wrong.
Yeah,
Hey,
That
everything's
voice
going
is kind
well.
of hard on Nick. You're all right, my man.
you could wake up and it could be a torrential rainstorm in Thailand. Who would have thought that? You know what, guys? It rains in Thailand a lot. All right, so let's just be prepared for it and play some freaking football because we're all awake now. We've had
Mm.
almost 2 months of just sitting around waiting to find out what the hell Harry Kane's going to do. My question to you guys is: looks like Kane is all over the promotional material this morning. Does anybody notice that?
I did not notice that. What I was
Yeah,
going to say though, Nick, whoever did pick the schedules then like you said, they must have known that Thailand would be, having a bit of rainfall. And I imagine Daniel Levy probably signed off on that schedule. So I'd like to see Daniel Levy out there with the squeegees.
that's all right, man. I don't think that's going to happen, but it's a nice thought. Yeah.
I wonder if Spurs putting Harry Kane all back over all the promotional stuff. Because look, let's be honest, he's sort of been hit away out there
Mhm.
today. So I wonder is that in reaction to that dodgy looking creepy guy that
I
decided he'd spend the money on the Byron Kane jersey instead of saving it to go to Turkey to fix his hairline. So
uh,
I wonder is that sort of in reaction to that. But look, hopefully Harry Kane stays. I think he is. But reports did circulate yesterday, again, by Build. Don't know how true they are. There was no real pictures to prove any evidence. But apparently, Harry Kane's missus, the kids, and some of his family were in Bayern looking at houses and schools and everything else. I mean, honestly, Build is absolutely shameless at this point. Absolutely shameless.
Yeah. And pretty soon, they'll be, taking, kind of cropped and edited Photoshop photos of him, in beer gardens for Oktoberfest and everything. Balpinder Deganya's in the house saying, morning, guys. Big up Balpinder. Tequila's in the house. Big up Tequila. 10-0, lads. Feel it in my bones. I like it. A 10-0. I'm kind of feeling maybe more of a 10-0 for when we come up against those Lion City Sailors, but I see where you're
Yeah.
coming from, Tequila. He just wants to get the wins, straight away. Welsh Gal saying gold star for your dedication, Nick and Jacko, 5:30 a.m. Absolutely right, Welsh
Yeah.
Gal. It's been hopefully going to see some type of action today because it would be, then met for nothing. And now that I already have a gigantic cup of coffee next to me and everything, I'd probably just start grinding out maybe a bit of FIFA or something like that if, it ends up, not really working out with the
Oh,
Spurs. But it
no.
really would
You're
be
trying
kind
to
of, it
repaint
would
the
be
lines.
ridiculous for everything to work so smoothly, for us over here and then for things to just end up being totally awry over there. That would be a classic.
Do you know what? I just want to say fair play to Singapore, right? They are trying their best to get this game going. They've called all the local window cleaners out with the squeegees to get the pitch,
I think it's
dry
Thailand,
it
Dave. I
up.
think it's
And now
Thailand.
they're called Thailand, sorry. And now they're calling out all the painter and decorators to get the lines repainted. It's absolutely brilliant.
And Matthew as well saying, I heard on Twitter we are interested in Mbappe. Is that true? I really doubt that there's nothing or any sort of truth to it. Matthew, LLS vlogs. I believe that's Lewis. Big up, my friend. He says, morning,
Hi,
boys.
Louis.
Haven't spoke to you in a long time. How have you all been? Come on, you Spurs. Doing pretty well, Lewis. Just waiting a happy clap, waiting for these center backs to come in. But I am excited to see, hopefully, Spurs play once again. It's the second round of the preseason, my man. Second round. We'll see what we're going to learn this time. Good to see you, Echo Echo. Good to see you as well. Patty Hartnett, he says, morning, gents. I hope you're all good. Anything to say to Patty Davo?
No, look, Paddy, I'm all good, my man. Can't wait for this game if it goes ahead. If not, I've already hit a kind of monster energy, so it looks like I'm gonna have to do something for the day because I won't be able to go to sleep. So big up, Paddy, and hopefully you're good, my man.
Maybe squeegee your own floors, Dave, since you have all the energy. Pedro
I'll
Mendes.
have to start getting the practice in, Jack. I'm ready for the call out for the next one against the City Sailors.
Pedro Mendes is in the house. And Ndombele banished already. It's hard to know what it really because like he did pick up a knock of some kind, and I think it was explained by a few different journalists, I think including Ali Gold, that he wasn't really likely to start because he was at least what they thought was originally in the starting lineup, at least for the first preseason game, because he had, scrimmaged at least, I think, between the two teams. And he was sort of in at least that first lineup of, Pedro Porro, Region, Tanganga, that sort of team. I believe he was alongside Madison. And then he picked up a knock, and all of a sudden now he's not really, I guess, featured at all. Maybe it could be that the knock is more serious than we thought. Could also be that maybe Ndombele has, in some shape or form, maybe lost out already to a Lo Celso or somebody like that. I'm not too sure, but I guess we'll find out from here. Any thoughts on that, Nick? Or
I
yeah,
I
start with
gotta
you, Nick.
believe that I gotta believe that Ainge is really, really hoping to see Ndombele live and in person
Yeah.
and get a good feel for him. There's got to be a reason somewhere, and there's no practical reason why he would be left out. If he's at the shop window, if he's going to possibly potentially be playing this year, it's an unfortunate circumstance.
Mm,
If we don't see Ndombele this preseason tour,
Mhm.
it's been an absolute pointless exercise in that regard. Look,
Absolutely.
what do you make on the sort of, because I know Jack, you want to sort of have your say on that video that I done yesterday about the size of the preseason tour squad, and I sort of said I understand it when it comes to the midfield and the forward areas, because if you could at least turn one or two of them midfielders, especially, right, you're gaining. But especially across the back line and bringing all the goalkeepers like Whiteman and stuff like that, I think it's a pointless exercise. But then if someone like Lo ends up getting sold and Ndombele, we don't see Ndombele, then all you've done is hamper Sar's progression, hamper,
mm.
trying to get Skip ready for the season. And then it would make it, in large, a complete pointless exercise, no?
I think yes and no. I think there are definitely a fair amount of players that I would say yes or were pointless to take on this trip, and there were probably 5 or 6 that I could mention. But players like Lo Celso and Ndombele, I do feel like fall, and maybe this is hypocritical, but I do feel like fall under that sort of quote unquote clean slate kind of, I guess, type of mentality that Ange has. I don't feel like players like Joe Roden, Ryan Sessegnon, Alfie Whiteman, Brandon Austin, and players sort of like that really have any sort of future at Spurs ever. And I think that'd be obvious to the club. I think that's probably obvious to Ange. And it would be then, to me, at least a little silly to bring them along just for them, I guess, to get a tan, out in various, continents and various countries when we could just have Alfie Dorrington, or we could have, a younger player, or even just a smaller preseason squad that could be maybe a bit more kind of close and maybe tight knit, working together over this preseason. I do feel like there are plenty of players that I would say were pointless to bring along. Maybe it's hypocritical to say, but I think it's a bit different with players who could technically work and do have the quality to work in the system. And I even have doubted him in the past, but I will include him, a Lo Celso, a Tanguy and Ndombele, players like that. I think Jet Spence is an interesting one. I know he did have some type of injury, but he has been pictured a lot in training, and so it is
Yeah.
also a bit interesting that he hasn't been included at all for this preseason. I mean, what do you think, Nick? Is the
I
preseason
don't know.
squad too big?
I got a little bit of a different take on it, and I watched that video, David. As I do. I
It
get
was good, wasn't it?
yeah, yeah, it was good, and you make a very good point there. However, what I would say is, listen, it's not just about the lads getting a hold of the tactics and learning how
Mhm.
to work under the system. This is a new manager coming in to a squad that's now larger than we've seen it in a while because of
Mhm.
all these loanies coming back in. It's not just about learning how to play his system, it's about him impressing upon these players what his way of football is. His philosophy is personally how he manages his relationship. He's coming into a team that was probably, as far as morale goes, the lowest we've seen it since before Poch came in. You
Yeah.
know, it's
Mm.
he's got to build these players up, and we don't know exactly who is going to come and who's going to stay. As far as Whiteman and Austin go, I mean, listen, if you don't bring your backup goalkeepers, we know Lloris isn't staying. God forbid, what happens if something happens to Vicario? One of these
That's
guys
fair.
has to play.
Like, the
So
thing is, Nick, I can
I
understand
think
Josh.
they brought Josh Keeley as well, because so then you sort of think like maybe you sort of bring Josh Keeley and Austin, or just Josh Keeley and Vicario. I'm not too sure, but it did seem like bringing 4 of them was a little bit silly, at
Well,
least.
yeah, but what? So my thing is though, what are you specifically? And something is being said to the likes of Joe Roden, etc. So the people that you don't bring on because you
Mhm.
got space, you don't have a limited amount of people you
Mhm.
could take. What are you then saying to these people specifically? Are you you're creating a negative relationship between the new manager and this player if you do not include them on this trip?
Mm.
Yeah. No, no. Look, I hear it to a certain degree, but I just fear that we're taking up time with guys that look. Let's be honest. Someone like Joe Roden is just not good enough to be here. Not good enough to get the game time. There's a lot of players that aren't good enough to be here, and we've known this over a number of years now. And it's like, why do we keep playing this charade? For me, it's sort of like there's time that needs to be invested in other people that will be around here that we can get them fully ready, fully up to standard with the tactics, and people can work closer with these guys and get them ready for a big season ahead rather than have to spread it out across 30 odd players. And a lot of them just ain't going to be here. For me, it's a waste of resources, a waste of time, a waste of coaching on some of the guys.
Despite
My
yeah.
personal opinion, like when it comes to Vicario, Vicario, right? It's the goalkeeper. It's a huge position to fill. He's got huge weight on this guy's shoulders to fill that position. And for me, you've got to be playing this guy 90 minutes over preseason. It's a pointless exercise giving Brandon Austin 45 minutes. It'd be a pointless exercise giving Alfie Whiteman 45 minutes if this game goes ahead today. Because realistically, they're never ever going to play a meaningful game for Tottenham Hotspur. And we've seen how important that goalkeeper position is. Last season, if that goalkeeper does not have that connection with that back line, if he's not confident, it's absolutely costly. You look at Leicester City, prime example, the team we're playing today. The Solskjaer Michael never replaced them. They ended up getting relegated despite many people telling me, oh, look at this signing they got in, look at that signing they got in. It's great, it's great, it's great, it's great. The goalkeeper is absolutely crucial. It cost them. They got rid of their goalkeeper and their club captain, who had been there for a number of years, and he ended up getting relegated. And that for me is why it's absolutely crucial to play someone like Vicario for the 90 minutes and try and get this guy ready and raring to go for preseason, but also so that he can work with that back line. When crosses or set pieces come into the box, what ones is he supposed to come out and take that he can help the back line out, and what ones do the defenders clear? So all that little stuff that needs to be ironed out for me. And that's why I'd give Vicario the 90 minutes instead of some of these pointless exercise. And that's not against Brandon Austin. That's not against Whiteman. These guys have been on preseason tour before, but we never ever see them after that. And for me, it's absolutely pointless.
There is that risk of sort of feeling like what Chelsea had last season, I think under Graham Potter, especially
Mm,
when he sort of had all these guys sort of lining up outside the door that he had to explain to why they weren't going to be even making the bench for the team. And it would be players like Aubameyang, Madueke, a bunch of like high profile, high wage players, right? He had to sort of turn down in every single week and sort of say, listen, you're not even going to make the squad this week. And he
mm,
had to go through sort of the explanation so that they wouldn't, I guess, maybe fuss up too much or get too, sort of kind of I guess turn their head the other way. But it is interesting to think about. It's like, do you sort of try to make them all happy by bringing them along, or do you sort of just kind of make your mind up right away and
mm,
like maybe sort of kind of outcast them straight away? It's an interesting one, but I do feel like we are potentially running the risk of what Chelsea had, sort of with just too many players that are sort of on high wages that might think of themselves, at players that need more minutes and are all ending up, not even making the squad. Um, I think we can get back to the chat though, and it does look like
yeah.
there is going to be a delay though, and it could be still on though, at least from what I can tell. Like maybe it's let off a little bit, but that's hard to really tell from at least the Spurs play
Alistair Gold's
cameras.
latest update quickly, Jack, was that whatever area they end up squidging, when they go to do another area, that other area is building up again. But they reckon they're going to
That's
try
how
and get
water
it.
works.
I reckon that, yeah, yeah, true. I mean, whatever happened to underside heating and everything else, drainage systems and everything else. But look, it does look like they're trying their best. They will not call this off. It looks like they're going to try and get it underway. So let's wait and see.
Jim Spurs till I die. Morning, Jack and Dave, and my fellow Spurs lovers. Big up, Jim. Rudy Toot says, "Big up, all. Looking forward to the match. Hope Dyer starts and is useless and has to be subbed in the first 20 minutes. I don't think that's going to be happening today. Looks like he's going to be coming off the bench, but the fact that he still hasn't started yet is interesting to me. Maybe he's not making such a great impression, on Ange, and it's more likely that Tanganga and Ben Davies have made an impression because Tanganga also had a lot of injuries last season. So the fact
Yeah,
that Dyer has somehow had this excuse from what I call the Dyer PR machine, for him not making a squad yet, or for him not playing yet, is because of that groin injury. You kind of think about it, like Tanganga has been pretty injury prone, like for the majority of this time as well, and has had maybe I think a few surgeries, or at least one, if I'm not mistaken. So it does make me think about maybe the fact that Dyer perhaps isn't making a great impression. Zare Ace is in the house. Poro, I'll play him as a right footed winger, not as a defender. Do you feel like Poro at right back today is a concern, Nick? Do you feel like he didn't make a great impression defensively, or are you still maybe waiting to see if he can actually do it?
I think you have to put him in that position as much as possible before the season starts because I mean we've got Emerson there. Yes, we need two in that position. Jed Spence is not on the plane, so we need to see what Poro really looks like as a right back as much as possible. I don't think it's really time to this guy. The Ainge has not been in there long enough to be chopping and changing and fitting square pegs and round holes yet.
Yeah.
We all kind of think that Poro would make a great right winger. He's got the attributes, but that's not his position, really. We were
Yeah.
all worried about. Oh, by the way, you know what? I got a new song for you.
Go on.
Speaking of this, it's about a man that is very quickly getting into everybody's hearts. I think he's possibly the most anticipated loanee that I've ever seen get
Ah,
signed by Spurs. I'm talking
Destiny.
about ooh doggy, do ooh doggy, dog pound. How do
Love,
he still like
love.
that? He's got moves like a cat. Talk about the doggy. Talk about the doggy.
Where's Tim? Tim, are you listening?
Uh,
All right, that's
absolutely
it.
love it.
That's the most I'm going to do right
Where's
there.
Tim Spurs song sheet? Oh, you have a new man. You
Uh,
got to get this guy. You got to get this guy. But
Absolutely love that. Just on Poro quickly, I mean, look, we've got no option but to make it work at right back, in my opinion, because
Mhm.
look, I'll, I'm not sure whether Postacoglu fancies Spence. The fact that he's not really being included in both match day squads. Look, we don't know whether he was carrying an injury, but for me, when you see other players left at home because of injury, then why wasn't Spence left at home if he is carrying that injury? If there was always a chance that he was never going to be fit for these games. So for me,
yeah,
I think when it comes to Pedro Porro, you've got to make it work. And look, this is what preseason about, and this is why I'm saying that a lot of these guys need minutes, and I'm not sure to the benefits of changing it every 45 minutes because someone like Porro, it's different from wingback, right? As wingback, he's technically gifted, sort of a lot of your defensive responsibilities are covered by that right-sided centre back, so you're just free to go forward and affect the game. Whereas that right back, he has to be more defensively minded. He has to watch to keep a back line as well. But also the timing of his runs going forward have to be absolutely spot on because we seen with Regulon, there was one stage Regulon went to make a run. We got the ball turned over and they're in behind him like that. So it's like a complete different role. And these guys, like someone like Porro, will need minutes on that side to be able to get used to it. Because look, for me, Emerson isn't a problem. Emerson will be fine there,
yeah, it'll be
defensively
good
solid,
competition.
decent on the ball as well. But Porro needs time to adapt to that position, and we have to give him that this preseason because it'll only benefit us in the long run going forward.
Absolutely, I completely
You
agree.
know
And
what?
plus,
Going
Gil be back in as right wing back up to Kulu. Gilness,
true, true. And Gil's still injured, as far as we know, right?
yeah, back problems. Don't worry, I've got the finest Spanish masseuses on the job, Nick, and they assure me he's going to be ready.
Good,
When
good. I'm glad you got the inside information on that one, Davo. Going back to Eric Dyer, man, though, too, and why we haven't seen him starting yet. I did even I it was so early, last week. Did Eric Dyer make an appearance at all last week? I don't think he
No, he
did,
didn't
right?
make the squad at
No,
all.
and you know what? I think that yeah, I have a feeling that Ange just knows he has to deal with him, and he's just going to have to. It's not a question of him worrying about him fitting the tactics. He doesn't want to see Dyer on the left and how Dyer does on the left with
Hmm.
Romero. That's
Hmm.
not really a problem. He does want to see how fit Tanganga is, and he wants the rest of the world who might be interested in buying Tanganga to see how fit
Mm,
Tanganga is and that he's not injured anymore.
mm,
It's
Mhm.
more of, let's show everybody that this guy's ready to go. He's got a price tag on his head, and just do as much rotation as possible. Ben Davies is a left-footed defender.
mm.
Whether you want to believe that or not, that's what he's
Yeah.
listed at in the club. Let's put him on that side with somebody who we know is going to play the way I want them to, with one right
Mm,
footed, one left footed. Let's see how
yeah.
the rest of the team fits in as close tactically as we can possibly get, because I think he knows, along with everybody else, is even though it's taken forever, we're getting new defenders in.
Yeah.
Wayne Bonner's in the house. Good morning, you sexy lot, Dave and Jack, and hope you're all well. Match days here. Come on, you Spurs, Tottenham till I die. 640 to nil. Everybody's gone with the big score lines today. It feels like everybody just want to eat the foxes. Good to see you, though, Wayne Bonner, my friend. Michael's in the house, saying the boys. I think the game might be called off due to the weather. I think you'll hear it from us at some stage, and we'll probably get it from Ali Gold at some stage as well about
Mm.
whether it will be going on. And it looks like Spurs play have even taken off the image of the stadium, so I don't have any updates from that
Ali
either.
Gold. Ali Gold has said Peltier is being repainted now. Thunder rolling in the distance.
Oh,
Oh, he's
And
gone
Chris
poetic.
Cowling, who's over there at the game, he's put up a picture. He says all the officials are on the pitch talking whether the game will go ahead or not. So we'll
Hmm,
get a decision shortly.
it's
is
not
this
good.
stadium actually in Bangkok? Right?
Yeah,
Is it?
I
Yeah.
believe so.
Let
Yeah.
me see if I
yeah.
can look up what the
I
weather
do
looks
see the
like
city, or
in
at least I
Bangkok.
see big skyscrapers like around the
Uh,
stadium. So, um,
Yeah,
we're
it's
gonna get
Bangkok.
a weather report from Nick in just a second here, everybody. This is how good we are
Let's
with
hope.
having three people at once. Sham 10 says, "Good morning to the Jack and Dave show. Let's hope for a better defensive display today, and Keystone Cops don't show up again. Kulu's starting again. Hope he has a good game. Come on, you Spurs, Shem 10. What a legend. Absolutely agree.
Big up, Shem.
Absolutely agree." Um, we also see add-ins. Good to see you. Stefan Blois saying the Danish Harry Winks is in midfield. So it sounds like there are two Harry Winks on in the team right now, according to Stefan. Ribsy85 saying, so is this game canceled? I'm not really too sure yet, Ribsy.
Yeah.
And let me know, Ribsy, at some stage if you're able to come on a fan show or maybe leave Dave and I a voice note of some
Mm,
kind or whatever, because I would love to know how you got on for the preseason friendly. Because, I mean, to be fair to you, you did get to see a lot of chances. Not like we really had our finishing boots on and really
mm.
Spurs didn't finish their dinner really at all. But let me know what you thought of the game because you were able to see it in person, Ribsy. Because the second half, especially, I bet was probably at least pretty entertaining. The second half squad was all over West Ham.
Yeah,
Big up, Ribsy.
yeah. Big up, Ribsy. Hopefully you enjoyed your day out, brother. We were absolutely hoping for the win for you, my man. But hopefully, you got to see Spurs live in the fresh, and hopefully you enjoyed it, my man.
David Hall's in the house. Big up to the whole crew. I'm just down seeing Davies in the team. There's no change, sadly. It's just your pick of the dross, really, David. And whatever one you're kind of feeling the best about that day is, it's kind of like whatever the shit flavored lollipop that you really have to pick, each and every day. And I guess Ben Davies is the one that we're going with. Just a girl who loves Spurs. Kate, I believe, sent in a super chat, but she retracted it. Kate, good to see you this morning. And I don't see any other messages from you. So maybe I'm not too sure, but Kate, I hope you are keeping well
Big
this
up, yeah.
morning. Big up to you, and let me know if you have
And
any
Jim.
thoughts on the weather, and let me know which player likes to play in the puddles most. Kate, if you're still in the chat, if you're still listening, big up to
Do you
you.
know what, Jack?
Yeah.
Just quickly, right? It reminds me of pitches we played on over here when we were growing up, right? Because it was a winter league. None of the the pitches we played on are old fields just marked out, cut out, and stuff like that, right? No drainage or anything like that. You'd be sliding through puddles, water going everywhere. I'd look like an Olympic swimmer plus a footballer all in one. It was absolutely brilliant, Jack. I used to love sliding in and taking people out in this weather. And you get extra momentum on the slide tackle as well because there's no resistance. It was absolutely brilliant. Sometimes I just used to stand up, cover myself in mud like I was a lunatic. I love these days.
Brian Dempsey, hey Dave and Jack, hope you're doing good. Just on, please tell me that the match is going ahead, and no Divine. Do we know why he isn't included? God, you have a good eye
Good
there,
question.
Brian Dempsey. Good eye. Any thoughts
Yeah.
on Alfie Divine missing out, Nick?
Well, you know what? I mean, we saw him in the second half
I
last
thought he was
time.
good.
Yeah, yeah, he was very good. I know, he's not. This is the big decisions you got to make in a preseason. You know, how much of these people do you want to see? Age did say he wants to give 60 minutes to certain players. You know, I think it's a player like Poro that you're giving 60 minutes to because you really want to see how he's betting in there. Also, Madison, he's had almost zero time with the rest of this team. Alfie Whiteman, we don't know who's on the bench, right? Not specifically, or do we?
He is
We
on the bench, Alfie Whiteman.
he is on the bench, and
Yeah.
he's not starting. I mean, that makes sense to me because theoretically he's not really going to be a starter going forward. He's going to be somebody that just
Yeah.
in case of emergency, if he stays at the club, if he doesn't go on loan, that you're pulling off the bench. So I'm not too surprised in that.
Yeah.
Give you a quick
Fair.
weather report.
Yes.
So seems like kind of heavy rain for the next 10 hours. Then there's a little break of sunshine for 2 hours after that, and then it's heavy rain for the next 24 days. So
Lovely.
there may be a problem.
So it looks like it's going to be
Okay.
wet for a long time
Yeah.
by looks of
Update.
things in Thailand.
Update from Ali Gold. The pitch has definitely cleared a lot during the last 10 minutes. Fingers crossed. So I reckon there's a glimmer of hope.
Oh, maybe we can fit this in before that, very poetic, description of the thunder that he brought in earlier. So maybe the thunder
He's
could
got to
come
write about
soon.
something, man.
He's got to write about something. He really does. Absolute. Good to see Brian Dempsey, absolute legend. Machiavelli, I love the name. Good to see you. Cheesy Puff Sarnies.
Man.
Hopefully you're keeping well. We also have Michael Hellman in the house. Good to see you, Michael. Nomad's in here. Good to see you, Nomad. David DeLam, Joe Binder. Hopefully you're keeping well. Welsh gal, Squeegees takes me back to New York City in the 80s. Would you get this reference, Nick? Were squeegees popular back then?
Buddy, it used to be you go up to any corner off a highway and five dudes would jump out of garbage cans with squeegees and just throwing dirt, basically just throwing dirt on the windshield and then trying to hose it off for you and asking for $5.
Jumping in front
That's New
of
York in
each
the
other to
80s.
Wow.
squeegee which car
Uh,
first. Yeah, absolutely. Good to
What a
see.
hustle. I love that.
yeah, you
Good to
still you
see.
still get that every once in a while in LA, Florida, something like that. You don't see it in New York anymore. They get run over. So obviously they knew that Dave would be playing. Dave would be watching today because they're showing the cricket on Spurs play. I know
Definitely.
David's been calling for that. Tanganga is sitting in the back there like an official. That's not a good look. It's not
I
a good
got
look.
worried. I got worried when Madison signed and he was standing at a dartboard. I was like, oh, Jesus Christ, we're trying to get rid of these guys that are bringing in all these extracurricular activities, not add to them.
Yeah, and I
Yeah,
think we've been playing on a lot of cricket pitches too, to be fair.
right.
And yeah, they've been really trying to, make Dave as angry as possible. Celery Agent is in the house. Dave, he's saying, "Howdy, lads. Good to see Celery Agent back here."
Big up, Celery Agent. You know what? That's a name I haven't seen in a long time, brother.
Yeah,
Hopefully
man.
you are keeping well, my man. Good to see you back around, and hopefully life is treating you well, brother.
And then Brett Lawfeed is in the house as well. Levy must think this defense is fantastic. Why else roll Mr. 60% Davies at left-sided center back? Oh my God, that's a great way to describe him. I think Mia once described him as, like vanilla. He's the definition of a vanilla ice cream type of defender. And to be honest, a vanilla ice cream type of defender is actually much better than what we have. And hopefully Ben
Mr.
Davies can be
60.
that version of himself. Iceman's in the house. Morning, fellas. A solid 3-0 today. Absolutely right, Iceman. And I'm liking all the big score lines people are throwing in. Ribsy 85 getting a taste of our medicine at this time, Jacko. Good on you, actually. He's spot on, Nick. I mean, I do complain about having to get up early, but the Australians, are made of thick blubber when it comes to having to wake up early. Dave, don't you agree?
Yeah, absolutely, lad. Absolutely.
And as well, we have Jimothy in the house. Good morning, everybody. My coffee is almost done. Yeah, I'm going to need another one at some stage, my man. Celery agent saying maybe this game means too much, to cancel. It could be the case. A lot of promoters, behind it and everything. They definitely don't want it to be canceled. That would be, a huge loss. Mary W, what's wrong with the 4-4-2? It's worked for decades. I'm huge on the 4-4-2. Knock it long, Mary W. Don't get me wrong. And in fact, I was going to tweet this the other day, but my phone died. I was going to say, as much as I enjoy, creating 30 chances a game, I do kind of miss the 1-0, 2-0 sort of, snatch and grab, defeats against Crystal Palace and, and Fulham and everything while playing, terrible. Like just I kind of miss those sort of performances. I still have the same sort of smirk on my face, after those games, the same sort of smirk and grin. Big up Scooter Reacts. Hopefully you're keeping well. Big up to as well. Making sure I'm not missing any other members. Good to see you, Neil Shafton. This preseason is all about conditioning. Yes, it's a large group, but in professional sports, it's called a training camp over here, and it goes on for weeks, which cuts with cuts made to bring down the roster. So he's kind of more or less calling it, yeah, Dave, like a trial period, right? It's sort of tryouts where players are
Mhm.
going to get, basically cut along the way.
No, I get it. I get it. For me, I just think from what I've seen over the last few years, I know that there's a fair percentage of the squad that aren't good enough. So for me, I think in that regard, I think it's a useless exercise because I think, we're going to, it's, that a lot of these guys hopefully will be cut.
Mhm. Big up, Tyler. Hopefully you're keeping well this morning, my friend. Good to see you in the chat here as well, Tyler.
Big
And
up,
then I
Tyler.
believe, just making
There's a super chat there from
yeah,
Dark Sun G Jack, and he said, our starting
starting
11
11.
looks great.
Sun is back finally. Sonny, I think, was sort of held back for what was it? An injury or a knock of some kind, Dave? Why was he held
He
back
had an
from this?
operation.
An operation. That's right. And do you feel like Sonny will offer something slightly different to what Solomon does? Do you think he'll have, similar sort of instructions to what Solomon does? How do you see him, playing on the left today?
Look, Jack. For me, I think Son's going to come back raring to go. To be brutally honest, I think
Yeah.
last season would have hurt him, due to no fault of his own. Of course, since then, he had the broken cheekbone. He's been playing through injury, this, that, and the other. And do you know what? Huge respect to Sonny in this regard, Jack. Not once did he make any excuses for his own performances. Not once. You heard other players blaming game time, management, this, that, and the other. But Son is one that just got on with it, didn't blame anything, got his operation, and I reckon he's going to come back and have a huge season this year. I reckon he's hurting from last year. He won't forget a lot of the sort of criticism that went his way. And that's what I like about a Jack, right? He's going to use that as motivation. He didn't come out and moan about it, didn't come out and cry about it, didn't come out and blame anything else. Okay, I'll take that. I'll use that as motivation, and you'll be singing my name again next season. That's exactly how I think it's going to pan out for some this season. Today, I'm looking forward to getting him back, Jack.
Yeah, I agree, Dark Sunji, with Dave that he's going to be very hungry this season. And in fact, I sort of see him. This could be maybe not an original idea. I imagine someone could have said this before me, but he probably could have a bit of a similar hot start to the season that he did under
Mhm.
Nuno. I could see that happening where he does sort of maybe pick up, the season with a maybe a brace or just at least looks like, a much different version of himself than he did last season because he's sort of that type of guy where he's very sort of, I think, maybe self-critical but also very self-motivated, right? He does, kind of take his own performances to heart. You see it in his face, right? People talk about when
Yeah,
Sonny's not playing well. You sort of kind of see it in his own, expressions and his
yeah,
own sort of kind of demeanor and everything, how much it means to him. It's a bit similar to Richarlison, actually, you could say. Like they're kind of
mhm,
very expressive players in that regard, and that when they're not playing well, they really do sort of show how much it means to them when they're not
mhm,
playing well. And I think Sonny is sort of the guy, though, maybe compared to Richarlison, just is actually has that world class ability in him. And so I think he can
mhm,
just find a way to sort of tune back into it and sort of, find that player within
mhm,
himself. And you sort of feel like the way he was able to, kind of kick us off under Nuno with the Harry Kane situation, it could be a bit similar, maybe who knows, this sort of year with the
mhm,
Harry Kane situation, not really being exactly the same, but let's say Harry, has a typical sort of, slow
mhm,
start to August.
mhm.
Sonny, I think, has an opportunity to do what he did last time, just sort of, carry us for at least the first maybe couple of games
Yeah.
or 3 games or so.
For sure, for sure. And I think, look, with Richarlison, Jack, I think the little bit different with Richarlison is because Richarlison had that outburst after the AC Milan game where he sort of bemoaned about the lack of minutes. And it's sort of like, but when there have been minutes available, you've been injured. And when we have given you minutes, you haven't took them. Whereas Son, he just didn't make any excuses whatsoever, just took it on the chin,
Yeah.
went and got the operation, and now he's back. And that's the difference for me, and that's what I love about a player that goes, okay, grand, uses it as motivation, understands that, for whatever reason it's there, uses it as motivation and just looks to go again. Absolutely huge respect to Sonaldo. And hopefully he has a really good game today, Jack.
As well, we have Zoe saying the last tweet from Ali saying it's a bit more positive. Hopefully going ahead. Absolutely right, Zoe.
Yeah,
Good to see Zoe as well as on the weather reports too. Paul Markey saying, "What the fuck are we looking at Gallagher for?" I agree. Like, I don't think we need another number 8. I think we have plenty of players that can either make it work there or sort of naturally kind of fit in that position. Like a lot of people think Basuma is better as a number 8. A lot of people feel like Lo
mhm,
Celso is kind of better as a number 8. A lot of people feel like Ndombele is better as a number 8. People even think Madison can play there, Bentancur can play there, Sarr
yeah,
can play there. It's just too saturated in that position. And then even some people who are big Hoiberg lovers like myself would argue he can play a bit of a box to box type role as
mhm,
well needed in that number 8 role. So it just feels like far too saturated in that position.
mhm,
It's more actually number 6s that I think we need to take a look at because Basuma is probably the best candidate we have right now. And if he were to be injured, yes, Hoiberg, if we keep him around, I think it's probably a decent candidate to do the job. But a lot of people feel very different about Hoiberg, and he's not exactly the fans' favorite. So
mhm,
I would think maybe to sort of settle the fan base a little bit. I mean, not saying Spurs would, but if it were just me, speaking from the Irish Hotspur, I think we would, yeah, maybe take a look at a number 6. Actually, take a look at maybe a younger number 6 that could develop, underneath Basuma and
mhm.
eventually come in or at least challenge him in some sort of manner. So not number 8s, number 6s for me, kind of Paul.
Yeah, look, I like Gallagher as a player. I think he's okay. You know, he gets on the ball, moves the ball. He's got a good shot on him when he gets going. He can be a really good player on his day. But look, I just feel like we all sit here talking about monster number 6s and you know mad number 8s, this, that, and the other. Well, then surely we should be aiming higher than Conor Gallagher. Conor Gallagher's a safe option. That's what that is. But if we're sitting here talking about upgrading and going for it, you got to be doing better than Conor Gallagher.
Mm, no. Big up though, Paul Markey, and no Skippy in the lineup this time, my friend. But I do believe he is on the bench, and Hoiberg
Mhm.
is playing ahead of a Paul Markey. People really are after Hoiberg, but I think Paul Markey is sort of probably happy actually to see Hoiberg be given the chance ahead of Skip this time. To bottom
Mm.
Duda, good to see you in the chat. Big up to bottom Duda says legends back on a Sunday. Nothing gets better. Big up. Good to see you, to bottom Duda. Hopefully you're keeping well, my friend, and let me know if you feel like this type of weather is possible to play in because I'm not sure if you've ever been to Thailand to bottom Duda, but is it is it can it just be all squeegeed out or is it just going to probably rain, again? Is it just going to be pointless? Because that's what, could end up happening is you play for 30 minutes and all of a sudden just starts kind of dumping again. And then you sort of find yourself in the position that you started the game with. So let me know to bottom Duda if you've ever been up to Thailand and seen a game of footy up there. Big up to the Hotspur hippie. He's in the house. Good to see you, my friend.
Big up,
Spurs 5, Foxes nil. Kane gets 5 plus another 2 disallowed. Bugger Kane gets 6. I absolutely love it. But Hotspur hippie, what I would say to you, Paul, is that I'm not sure if that's the biggest score line I've heard today. You're going to have to beat 646, I believe, or something like that. It seems like everybody's sort of happy clapping before you, or at least everybody's on sort of the hopium that Spurs are going to get a big result today before even you or even before I am. 646 is what you're going to have to beat for the tally. Good to see you in the house, though, my friend.
Big
We
up,
also have Dan Davenport. Good to see you, Dan Davenport. Daryl Bradford is in here as well. Good to see you, Daryl. Neil Shafton as well with the super chat. He says, new coach, new faces, new system. If they were going on a preseason trip, then all players need to be there. Otherwise, Postacoglu can teach his system. He
He
feels
is.
like
Do believe
everybody
he is.
needs to
Do
be
believe he
there
is.
in
Do
order
believe he is.
for.
Do believe he is. 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 Do believe he is.
Sorry, there's a bit of echo or something in the background. Um, New coach, new faces, new system. If they're going on a preseason trip, then all players need to be there. Otherwise, Postacoglu can teach his system, Dave. So he feels like everybody needs to be taught the system. Everybody needs to be brought along.
But the thing is, not everybody's going to be here. And let's be real about this,
Do
right?
believe he
Uh,
Sorry, that was just how.
I can understand what the point that Neil is making and that people make in general, right? I understand it. But like people forget, Ange Postecoglou had a meeting about transfers way before the season's even kicked off. He told them exactly what he wants and what he wants to get rid of. Now, the fact that the club haven't gone about it and done it all, He's no option but to bring these guys. Or well, so we say bring these guys, but for me, if we do have plans to get in these two centre backs, like we were promised since last January, and do one piece of bits and pieces of other business, especially at centre back, it should be in right now. For me, when Ange Postecoglou made it clear in the transfer meeting, and he had an idea, then if he's able to give names, he knows exactly what he wants to bring in, which then means he knows what he wants out. Then it's a pointless exercise if they're not going to be here. That's
Yeah.
just my thoughts on it. Like, we forget that, everyone goes, oh, but Ange wants to see what they're like. Okay, but then Ange Postecoglou also gave a list of names of what he wants in and what he wants out. So he already knows who he doesn't want here. So that, for me, is a pointless exercise.
I For me, Neil, I kind of agree with you for the most part. I kind of slightly maybe more disagree with Dave because I do think
Mhm.
majority of the players do need that sort of clean sheet because they could end up working in the system. I do feel like certain players, it's a little ridiculous that they have been brought on because I think we all know that they're probably not good enough really for even the Premier League. Like if they're not even Premier League standard, then what's sort of the point of bringing them? That's how I
Mhm.
feel with the case of like Joe Rodan and players like that.
Yeah.
But like I'm not even a Lo Celso fan, but I would be hypocritical by saying, "Oh, like Tanguy should be given a chance and Tanguy should be brought on the trip, and then Lo Celso not be brought on the trip." Right? That would be a bit hypocritical of me to say that.
Yeah.
So it would. It's just, but then at the same time, I'm still saying Joe Rodan shouldn't be brought because he's just not good enough, and maybe everybody would think then that's sort of going against what I just said. So I don't know. I kind of agree with you for the most part, Neil. I think I probably slightly disagree with Dave a bit more, but there's still certain players that I do feel like were absolutely ridiculous to bring along. It was just a pointless exercise with certain players that we did end up bringing along. So I don't know. It's like I agree
It's
with both of you, but I mostly agree with you there, Neil. Yeah.
And look, it's one I'm torn on, Jack, because I've said with the centre midfielders and Neil as well, and Nick, I've sort of said with the centre midfielders, right? If Ndombele and the Celtic came out of this preseason hot as shit on hot form,
I believe he is.
you've gained. You've absolutely gained. But where it comes in other areas, I just feel a bit of a waste of time considering we know they ain't good enough. For instance, at centre back, I would have brought Alfie Dorrington. I would have brought one or two others and just left certain people at home. But look, again, it's sort of if you're going to try it with the midfield and other areas, you've got to try it all over the place, don't you? Look, the grand scheme of things, Ange Postecoglou has to live up to his word because if he didn't, a lot of these players, or all it takes is one or two to be unhappy to go around, get everybody else on site, and the manager gets sacked. So I understand why Postecoglou done it. He has to live up to his word or up to his word to build that rapport. Just don't agree with it.
Mm. Big up, Neil Shafton. Hopefully you're keeping well. And it is early for you, my friend. Big up to you, Neil. You're an absolute legend. You are probably what I would say one of you're like an Australian yourself, but actually not even living in Australia with the times that you're able to watch Spurs at over in the West Coast. Tottenham LSG saying breaking news, match possibly postponed as Thai fans refuse to watch Hoiberg as the number 6. They've drummed up some weather, I guess, to cancel it. I guess they've spoken to
Just
somebody to
quickly,
get the weather. Yeah, Dave.
just an update. They went out to do a final ball inspection to see if they can get it going, and the ball hasn't even bounced.
Oh my lord, that is. I believe he is. I do believe still there. By the looks of things. Yeah. I mean, Dave, what are your thoughts? You think it's going to get canceled then?
Do you know what, Jack? When I saw the pitch and I saw the problems, my initial reaction was it probably will get cancelled. But they are trying, and I understand why they're trying to get this their best to get this going. Right? There's so many people that have paid to sort of go and watch this game and everything else. But I struggle. Like Nick said that Nick, didn't you say it's raining for the next 10 hours or something like that? So I sort of struggle to see where they're going to get the break to get this pitch ready.
Nope. Maybe we can think. I think Nick still had sort of the feedback. Uh,
Oh, okay.
I think we
So
tried
yeah,
testing it a couple
okay.
of times.
So I think basically Nick did say it was sort of raining for the next 10 hours. So look, when the ball's not bouncing, Jack, it's kind of a bit of a pointless exercise, right? Because if the ball's not bouncing, it means even if you go to play the ball along the ground, it's not going to go too far, and it's just going to cause injuries, headaches. You're not going to get the minutes in your leg, or get the sort of style of football that you want to play either. So it's a bit of a pointless exercise if the ball won't move on the pitch. What do you actually take away from the game? It's
Mhm.
more risk than it is reward, right?
Yeah, and because it's more for training exercise and it's more for fitness and it's also more for practicing the patterns of play and the sort of, tactical situations and just various things that you've been trying to work on and you want to do it in the game scenarios, right? And if
Mhm.
it's not realistic game scenarios then and realistic, conditions that you would play in, then it's kind of a pointless exercise to be fair. And
Yeah.
so as much as we want to see them play, I kind of agree with that. I think you probably
Mhm.
wouldn't learn very much from seeing them play in this type of weather in these type of
Mhm.
conditions. You probably wouldn't learn very much from it.
No, spot on. And that's it, Jack. As much as we're fans. Well, look, me, it's sort of normal, a lot morning time for me. But you, Nick, many other people, right? They've all sort of got up early for this game, and I know we'll be highly disappointed if the game is called off. But the thing is, you risk like, what if Son goes to hit the ball ahead of him? It doesn't go as far as he's anticipating. Someone comes in, clatters him. He's back injured again. Same to Harry Kane or any other player. And, like you said, Jack, patterns of play, movement, it's going to be very, very hard. So it's just, like I said, more risk than it is reward. And it's a shame because I really want to watch football. I was excited for
Yeah.
this.
And
Not in a good mood.
Bald Bean counter saying, why has Levy, booked this, this location then, if it was going to be raining so much. And what I would, and also big up to you, Bald Bean counter. Hopefully, we can see you on a fan show sometime soon this
Yeah.
season, my man. But I mean, if Levy wants this to go ahead and if he wants to get, his reward, for, heading out to Thailand, you do get, a bit of a good packet of money, I imagine, for, making these big trips over because they do kind of roll out the red carpet for you when you do go, kind of very far. They do it in the US, if you go over to South America, whatever,
Mm,
continent, especially if you make, a big trip over, they do roll out the red carpet for you. But if you don't end up actually playing the game that they're all kind of getting anticipated for, I imagine maybe you don't get the full compensation or something. Or I don't know, maybe you do. But Daniel Levy, I imagine, is probably getting a little bit nervous and maybe he's considering taking a squeegee out himself to try to get the water out of the pitch. Big up to you, Bald Bean Counter. Foggy Foam is in here. Good afternoon, guys. What are your thoughts on Ben Davies starting there? Really hope it's just to play someone till we get defenders in. That's my sort of thinking, at least my hope, Foggy Foam. And perhaps what's happening now is he's doing a trial run of all the sort of bad center backs, which one maybe is his favorite of maybe the bad center backs. He's gone for Ben Davies. He's gone for Sanchez. He's gone for Tanganga. He's given them all kind of chances. And maybe Ben Davies has impressed him the most. And Dyer actually has not featured at all. I sort of think it is because Dyer maybe isn't making a good impression on him and is actually perhaps not his ideal candidate for either the right sided center back or the left sided center back because
mm,
I do feel like there are other players carrying injuries that are kind of playing right now. And Dyer, to be fair, has tried to, make an impression on
mm.
Postacoglu to sort of get into this team. And he's been in training. He's featured a lot in sort of the training videos and whatnot. So I'm actually surprised that Dyer is not starting in this match, to be honest. So I don't know. Maybe he's not
Yeah,
making a
look,
great impression. Maybe Ben Davies is making the best impression.
I'll be honest. I'm happy Dyer's not starting this match. He's just not good enough. Look, with Ben Davies, look, deserves the opportunity, like explained earlier on, Jack. I think, when he came on and when he played that second half, it was one touch, move the ball compared to Tanganga, where it was really slowed down. And that's what Postecoglou wants. He wants that ball, one touch, move it, get it moving. So I can understand why he's made that call, but I will stress this. There's a difference being able to do it against West Ham, who sit back, protect what they've got, etc. Then and in preseason in general, then doing it in match day scenarios where you've got better players, quicker players, pressing the living life out of you. And as we've seen with Ben Davies, it has come back to haunt us. So look, good exercise. I can understand why he does it, but Premier League's a different level. And my fear is that some of these guys will survive, but it's sort of like you might get 6 good months out of them, but it's all going to unravel somewhere down the line.
Mm. Dave, prepare yourself for war here because I think Paul Markey has just done so in the chat. He's gone for a super chat and he says, leave Skip behind in Thailand. That's the best place for him. Poor Skippy, Dave. I mean, I hope he's able to find his way home, Paul. At least I hope you give him some directions, at least find his way back to North London. But Dave, he's people in the house are like, Paul, how could you? Some people, I think, right underneath are like, here, here, Paul, echo, echo, saying Paul is in the house. A lot of people are agreeing with Paul. A lot of people disagree with Paul. It's, potentially becoming, could it be that we have two very divisive midfielders in this team, and Hoiberg and Skippy? Like, just the fan base just isn't
No,
unanimously satisfied. I mean, no one's gonna be unanimously satisfied, but could it be
look,
the case that like they are kind of becoming two very divisive midfielders, for the fan base?
yeah, very, very divisive midfielders, and that's because they're not sort of the glamorous type in general. Look, for me, Jack, I mean, when it comes to Skip, I think, and the same with Paul, right? I think we all want the guy to succeed, and we understand the hype around him, right? He's had a very good underage career at Tottenham. He had a very good season out alone at Norwich. He's come back as a European Championship under 21 winner, and I can understand the hype around him. Plus, he's homegrown. He comes from the academy. But look, I went out on a limb early last season and I called out his flaws and I got backlash for it. But the reason why I call it out, Jack, is because it's an area for me that he really needs to improve on if he wants to have a good career at Tottenham and last at Tottenham. I don't want this guy suffering the same fate Harry Winks ended up suffering. Harry Winks didn't have all the right components to his games, nor did any other manager sort of ask him to go out his way to train to get these components, and nor did it click with him, even though he was being called out by pundits and fans alone to be able to improve areas of his game that would have helped Harry Winks make it at Tottenham. But I don't want Ollie Skip suffering that same fate. So Ollie Skip has to be a lot better on the ball, but also, you know, off the ball last season, doing the defensive work, he just looked like a lost kid at times, all at sea, pulling people back, this, that, and the other stuff I haven't seen since I was playing Sunday League. And, I think we've just got, as much as we want everything to be positive, if we really want what's best, we have to sort of, and it's not criticism, it's a critique in order for the guy to improve. There is areas to his game that he lacks. And when you put him up against likes of Basuma, Madison, even Hoiberg, maybe other midfielders we might sign, Bentancur. They're the people that he has to compete with. So if he has to compete with them, he has to have all their components that they have to their game and do it better. And the only reason why me and Paul call it out is because we want the guy to succeed, and we can see it going one way if he doesn't do that. And
Mm,
at the end of the day, you're not going to lessen the competition you've got around Skip just to give him minutes. You
yeah.
bring in your players, and it's up to that guy to get to that level. And there's flaws in the game that
Yeah.
is obvious, and he has to get there. It's simple. Look,
Sometimes
football's
players will
simple.
benefit from a lack of competition in that area, and then they seize the moment and the opportunity to do so. Remember, Tanganga did that with right back, where we were just watching Serge
Mm,
Aurier for weeks, and then we
yeah,
got to see Tanganga, and he was just a completely different beast in comparison. And a lot of us were happy with that. But then there was more competition that was brought into the right back position. And all of a sudden, kind of Tanganga was found out a bit more. And you could say that's something that could be happening to Skippy right now, where Skippy at one stage didn't have a lot of competition in that
mm.
sort of midfield area. I think it was really only Winks and like Deli Ali and Ndombele and players like that and Gio Lo Celso that were his competition. And so he ended up,
Just quickly,
really
Jack.
shining. Yeah.
Got an update from Tottenham Hotspur. Tonight's friendly against Leicester City has been cancelled due to a waterlogged pitch and adverse weather conditions. The event organisers, based on a recommendation from the match officials, deemed the pitch at the Rajamangala National Stadium unplayable and unsafe following heavy rainfall in Bangkok. So that is the official announcement from Tottenham Hotspur that the game has been cancelled. So Jack, I thought a bit of dragon boat racing, just like Celery Agent has said, or penalty shootout, something like that.
Let's test Nick and see if the audio is doing okay, because I definitely have a lot of questions for him.
believe he is. I do believe
Oh,
he is. I
I
do
still
believe he
hear it.
is. I do believe
Well,
he is. I do believe.
so
Sounds like I was DJ
everybody,
mixed earlier, at some stage.
yeah, sounds like Nick's on his DJ boards, doing that thing with the disc scratching. But everybody, the game has been cancelled. What a shame.
Indeed, and I guess we'll sort of have a few more comments, but I'm not really sure what else to say other than we'll keep you updated, and
Yeah.
I guess we'll just have to redo this whole thing. Neil Shafton says new coach, new faces, new system. If they're going on a preseason trip, then all the players need to be there. Otherwise, or sorry, actually, I already got to that. Sorry, there, Neil, but he had this one actually. He says, the Van de Ven. Don't assume the Van de Ven, what's his name, or Tapsoba don't end up here. You can't just assume it until.
I get that, right? I hear that. But let's not forget, I asked for centre backs in the summer. So did Conte, even though people make out like Conte didn't. He got Langley in on loan, right? Then the club decided to tell us at the end of the season to pay Eric Dyer out to be a war hero. He played through injury since January. So they knew in January that we were short centre backs. We needed them. It was evident on the pitch and that they were carrying injuries. They didn't do it. But guess what? Alistair Gold put out an article at the time saying we will sign two centre backs in the summer transfer window. So just you don't expect anything this January summer transfer window. We will get two in. So that's where my expectations are coming from because we were told all the excuses why we weren't doing it because we were going to go for it and do it this summer and do it inadequately and get the right players in, right? So that's where the expectation comes from. So I should have every expectation that centre backs are coming in, especially when I've been told it. But also, when I've been calling for it for the last 3 years, I've had to go through so much shit and pelters that people have given me because of it, and the fact that that back line conceded what? That it was the worst defense ever in Tottenham's history, 60 plus goals. I should have every right to expect centre backs in this door because if we don't, all that's changed is the style of football. And this is why I say to people, I get wanting to be positive behind the hands and back the team, 100%. But the only thing that's changed, unless we buy centre backs, is how we play the game. Because
Mhm.
I said this last season, we can go and play on the front foot football all you want. But it's even more. You have to have that back line. And we've seen against West Ham. And let's be honest, they're one of the worst attacking teams in the Premier League. You're going to come up against much better attacking teams week in, week out in that Premier League,
Mhm.
and they're going to make you pay. We're going to lose games just at the same rate we did last season.
Mhm.
People forget we played good football under Conte when he first got here. People go on like we didn't score goals last season. Most games we were scoring 2, 3 goals a game, but we couldn't keep them out the other end. So based off, I have absolutely everything. I have every right to demand centre backs, and I have every right to expect them.
Um, every such good points there, Dave, but I'm not sure
Thank
if you have a rebuttal for this one. Neil Shafton says, "Absolutely right, David, but this is Spurs."
Yes. That now that's where
You
that's
know, no, come
where
back to that one.
that's where it pisses me off because it's like, you look at Arsenal, for instance, right? They've got a couple of centre backs there. They really don't need anymore. They're getting greedy. They went out and bring in Julian Timber. You look at Fulham bringing in two centre backs. Where's ours? It's so annoying.
Yeah, yeah,
And I just can't believe it. I thought,
yeah.
first team in the door this summer, two centre backs, goalkeepers, spine of your team, get it leveled out, bring them on preseason tour, let them play together, let's get it sorted. I genuinely can't believe we've sitting here, we've done business everywhere else but centre backs. But look, like Neil Shafton says, it's Tottenham. We change board level, we change structures, we bring fans in on the advisory board, we change managers, coaching
Yeah.
staff, fullbacks, the wing backs, bring people in the centre midfield, bring people up in the forward areas, bring goalkeepers in. One thing this club refuses to do is bring in fucking centre backs, and it's absolutely a joke.
He also says, with a super chat, Levy says a lot of stuff but he can't be trusted. Yeah, there's he's just come back with
There
two,
we are.
just
Well done.
irrefutable. This is Spurs and Levy can't be trusted. He says a lot of stuff, and that is absolutely right there, Neil. And Neil, looks like you stayed up till I imagine what was it around 2:30 a.m., 3:30 a.m. for I guess, but turned out to be just a big rainstorm in Thailand. And I hope they make it up to you in some way. Maybe you can ask for a refund of some kind, Neil. But really appreciate you staying up for us, my friend
Yeah,
Neil, and
big
thanks
up,
for your
man.
support as always.
You can
Absolute
go back
legend.
to bed now, or you can get up and have your espresso and avocado on toast, my man. Whatever one. Also, big up my niece Keela tuning in as well, and block your ears when your uncle goes on a rant. But big up and big up Dave and Fee as well.
Everybody's very sad to see this cancel. A lot of people are very upset. Welsh Gal does says it's disappointing, but it is understandable. I think it's kind of, in reference to what you were saying, like, right, just it's unplayable, not really going to learn anything from playing in these sort of conditions. So absolutely right there. And Kathy Prince, big up Kathy. She says if the pitch is that bad a condition, they do need to cancel. The last thing we need is our players getting injured. Yeah, we didn't even talk about that either. Yeah, the injuries, let alone the ball not even. We were just talking about Ange ball, Kathy. We just want the ball, to like make nice, different passing patterns. And in these sort of conditions, it's not possible. But yeah, the injuries are also definitely an important factor. That's for sure. Um, any kind of final words from yourself, Dave? And I think then, we might just as well just
Yeah,
sort of,
just
wrap
quickly.
things up and hopefully they maybe can reschedule it, but I don't even know if that's
No,
a
it won't be.
possibility. Yeah, that's what's a real
No,
shame.
it won't be. I think because we've got another one in a couple of days, and then I think we've got to get back. Then we've got Shakhtar, Barcelona coming up. Look, what I will say to everybody, absolutely love the commitment. Everybody worldwide getting up nice and early, getting the gear on, getting yourself set for this game. Absolute big effort from you all. Hasn't gone unnoticed because I certainly appreciate you've kept me, Jack, and Nico going here, which is absolutely brilliant. And look, let's not lose this enthusiasm. Let's bottle it and let's save it for the next game. And absolutely, it's great to see Spurs back. Spurs fans back, hungry, excited, and ready to go. And if we can channel that and bring that into the season, keep it all that energy behind the boys, we're in for a good one. So, although the game's cancelled, your efforts have not gone in vain. It just means we just have to tamper it another day, which means it's going to come out 10 times better the next day. So, great effort, everybody. And let's keep this energy for the season.
And you didn't get to see Harry Winks, Dave, which is maybe either a positive or a negative because I guess he would have been playing in the other team's shirt. So I
Be
guess that's how
honest,
you see it.
I
Um,
prayed to God last night and I said, look, Jesus, I've had enough of this guy. Even we've sold him and you're still putting him in front of me. What have I done in life that's so bad that you're putting me through this? And he goes, you know what, Dave? I have to put a rain check on this one. At the end of the day, you're right. You haven't done anything for this. He's gone. So, obviously, God listened to me and made sure I didn't have to see Weeks again.
let's go give Nick maybe a chance, hopefully, to be able to at least have some final words here. Nick, let's see if this works this time.
All right, how we doing on that one?
Woo!
A little bit better? Okay. Yeah, I
There it
had to
is.
restart everything. I'm having a howler today. And listen, man, we've got so many things we can blame Levy for. So many. The list is on and on, years and years, 2 decades worth plus. I'm not gonna blame Daniel Levy for the rain, man. I can't do that, man. I just there's a little bit more. Listen, it's a disappointment. I don't want to see anybody slipping into goalposts or anything like that.
Yeah.
We move on. We think about it. We got so much to talk about anyway coming up. We got another game in midweek. Let's
Mhm.
just keep the positivity up, David. We got a lot of people who made the effort. I thank you for shouting that out. I made a huge effort. Thank
Yeah.
you to me. Thank you to you guys for having me for this little bit of coffee talk.
It really was a coffee talk. Exactly right. Do you feel like Levy maybe should just establish those some U.S. connections for next year in some capacity, Nick?
It's not monsoon season here.
No, it
If it,
isn't.
you might want to check the calendar, look at the big world map, see, Google has that thing. You can see the weather now these days. US, very good idea. I highly recommend it. Hey, they can play on the new pitch across the street at the playground over here.
Mm.
You're not going to have to squeegee it. Is the
Maybe we
thing.
just do the opposite and we just station them in Arizona or something like that, for next year, and we
What I
just
will
know that
say,
nothing will happen.
if there is any kids out there that look, no, they're not good enough, they're not going to have a professional career, start practicing squidgying now, because at least every preseason there will be a job in football for you. So
Hmm.
the great thing to come out of today is there's a new career opportunity within football. So what I want to see is plenty of young lads up and down the country with squidgies running to one side of the pitch, back across the other. There is a new career opportunity. So Jack, I'm off to practicing my squidgying.
And also, are you off to watch the hurling final later, Dave? That's what Paul Markey has also asked.
Well, yeah, it's going to be an absolute cracker, my man. Look, I was a bit worried about the logistics today, watching on post-match reaction. Can I get it done before the Ireland? But look, now I can sit down and watch the fastest game in the world. So, if any of you guys out there, everyone that's made a good effort to get up early, why not watch the All Ireland hurling final? One of the most skillful and the fastest game on planet Earth. Watch it; it's going to be cracker.
Love that. And I agree with Adam Phillip. Maybe these are my last words: is that Levy needs to make it rain money on Leverkusen and Wolfsburg. Absolutely right. He needs to make it rain Thailand style over there and just absolutely just cancel, Wolfsburg and Leverkusen with all the money that he throws with them. Make them, an offer they can't refuse. That's how much he needs to rain it down on them. Absolutely right. Love that, Adam. Neil Shafton as well, before we're going, says, word of the day, Welsh Gal says, is squeegee. Absolutely has been the word of the day. Probably used so many more squeegees in a day than I've ever said in my life. Neil Shafton says Levy is going cruising for the lady boys. Oh, well,
It's a Thailand thing, guys. Let's not discuss it too much.
Okay.
enjoy yourself this morning, Neil. Enjoy yourself this morning, Neil. That's all I can say, my friend.
Neil's had
Enjoy
a few
yourself.
sugars in that coffee.
Few sugars.
Neil's getting a little antsy with the canceled game, is what it is.
Wolf Maller,
How
good to
dare
see you,
you
my
be not
friend. Wolf
How dare
Maller, hope
Tottenham not get the weather reports 10 months in advance?
have to give you a shout, says Wolf Maller. Been watching on the telly, but had to grab the phone to give you a shout. Come on, you Spurs. Wolf, you stayed up very, very late. I know you probably operate around this time, kind of in the evening, but you also had to stay up very, very late, Wolf. So big credit to you, my friend. And thank you for all your support, as per usual. And big up Tequila. Love you as well, my friend. Uh, I think people seem to enjoy that from Neil. But everybody, I think we'll leave it there. Hit the like button, please, on the way out. Thanks for all the support. Thanks for even tuning in. I think we have plenty in the chat as well, just kind of going back and forth, keeping each other company as best they could, keeping each other entertained as best they could, while waiting for this game to get kicked off in some capacity. But it looks like it hasn't. And we'll be due in Singapore for the Lion City Sailors. And what's a bit disappointing about that is that I could see that also maybe not being the best of games to really learn from, because they might not be the best of opponents. But and I guess we'll look for that one, and maybe, who knows, I could be proved wrong. But yeah, we'll leave it there. And please hit the like button on the way out. Thank you for all the support, and we'll be seeing you. Come on, you
Great thing
Spurs.
today. Come on, you Spurs. In the squidgies we trust.
The squeegees we trust, and the big Ange we trust. Everybody grab a ring.